Before I start the show, I want to thank the listener who reached out to the Roach family about distributing Flojoy water. Thanks for listening. Flojoy is fucking rad. Season 10 is presented by Flojoy Water, Chris Roach's family business. Refresh your style with Flojoy artisanal mountain water, pure water, pure stoke, and essential toothpaste tabs. Earth-friendly, adventure-ready toothpaste. Clean ingredients, supported by science. Wired Snowboards factory in Vancouver builds high-quality custom snowboards for about the same price as other brands' regular boards. I've created several one-of-a-kind wired customs, including a Chase 162 that's seen hundreds of my best powder days. Get yourself a game-changing snowboard and join the Wired team with Devun Walsh, Sasha Daly, and many others. Wired Snowboards. For more information, go to wiredsnowboards.com. Fixed bindings are my go-to for all my snowboards because they're comfortable, durable, and look rad. Fix makes bindings I want to ride. Simple, lightweight, and dependable, made from the best materials, using the most environmentally friendly production processes possible. They offer lifetime warranty on bases and buckles. If you're looking for affordable performance bindings in the perfect color to match your fit, go to fixbindingco.com or grab them at your local retailer. Bluebird Coffee Tuning and Rentals in Squamish is the coolest new stop on your way to Whistler. Bluebird offers quality board tunes using state-of-the-art equipment, premium rentals for every level of rider with demos of Burton step-ons, and award-winning coffee and incredible smoothies. For a blend of expert knowledge, convenience, and lots of charm, stop by Bluebird in Squamish and get your board tuned at the newest mandatory stop on your way to Whistler. Pro Standard makes the grill mount the best mount for your Insta360 GoPro or DJI camera. It's a heat moldable mouth mount, tripod, hand grip, hook mount, bottle mount, wall mount, clamp mount, glove mount, and shoe mount, designed by snowboard legend Ken Ochenbach to get you the perfect angle for snowboarding, surfing, biking, and it'll replace 90% of your other mounts. Use code FNRad to get 20 off your first order at prostandard.com. Support also comes from our friends at the Boardroom Snowboard Shop. Check out boardroomshop.com and use code FNRAD10 for 10% off regular priced items and FNRAD5 for 5% off sale items. 1910, the collaborative artworks of Jamie Lynn and Scof. FNRAD20 saves you 20% off at 1910.com. New Greens, the superfood green drink sourced from American farms. Use code FNRAD for 20% off at newgreens.com. I want to thank DeKine Snowboard outerwear, travel bags, and backpacks, Rip Curl's Anti-Series outerwear, and our friends at Mount Seymour, Grouse Mountain, and Cypress Mountain for their support. Devun Walsh is considered one of the greatest backcountry freestyle snowboarders of all time. I've heard him described as a human GPS because in the air or in the backcountry, he always knows where he is. Devun has a supernatural ability to discover new terrain and push the boundaries of what's possible. His career quickly started in the 90s when he was put on the Barfoot team by John Boyer. Rob Dow then recruited him for Never, and at a trip to California, Tony Bouyalis, creator of Shorties Snowboards, started paying Devun real money and filming him for the iconic Shorties movies. Over 20 years later, Devun is bringing Shorties Snowboards back to life. I caught up with him last week at his house in North Vancouver to get the scoop on what's happening with Shorties, but of course we start out by talking about the forum days.
I got a lowball offer the fall after that came out.
Yeah, like from forum.
From forum.
What?
Yeah.
Just
yeah, but
they were
I
falling
guess we
apart.
were getting paid ridiculous amounts of money. It probably didn't look very justifiable on and that Burton owned him at that point.
Right.
So they were probably looking at it going, what's happening over at Forum? These guys are making a lot of money.
Well, I'm sure some of the Burton guys were doing all right too at that time.
I'm sure, yeah.
Right, because that was around when, was that when Nicholas went to Nike and stuff? Like Nike did
Yeah.
the big thing?
I think they were a bit, might have been, I don't even know.
I think that Nike came in and was like, we're going to pay a lot.
Yeah.
And then Burton was like, okay, we're going to just keep paying, like a sensible amount.
But they still played well.
Yeah, they paid well, obviously. Right. Like their main guys would have done really, really well, I would imagine.
Oh, yeah, I would think so.
Your offer came from Burton then, that forum shitty offer, or it was before?
It was from like the forum guy, but through Burton, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it totally makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. How fun. I guess it's not this. Okay. 10 years I've been doing the show now.
Yeah.
And some of the myths that have been busted, in my mind at least, are that being a professional snowboarder was a lot of fun. Like it seems like now, having spoken to a lot of people,
Yeah.
the more the higher up the pecking order you were, the less fun the filming was, right? Like even robot food that we take for granted is like this, came out of the idea that there was too much pressure and let's make it more fun. Even robot food was pretty not fun to film for, because it was like you have to still be serious.
Yeah.
And so how was filming for that? I mean, it's kind of way after what we're going to talk about with the Shorties thing, but it's a nice entry point.
Yeah, filming for that. I mean, that's the thing is, we had this meeting to get everyone pumped up, and it was really rad because Kern's kind of made up this booklet and everyone, and he's like, honestly, guys, like, if you guys are thinking you're just gonna get some Cap 5s off stuff, he's like, do that in the preseason, because it's gonna be hammers. That's it, nothing but the problem is I realize that it's fine to do a Cap 5, but it's got to be bigger than any Cap 5 that's ever been done.
Sure. Of course. Yeah.
Right? So then that makes that a hammer.
Yeah.
But I'm not saying I got a Cap 5 that was bigger than any, but I realized I needed to step up the size, not necessarily the tricks. And like some of the younger guys were like, oh, I can only do 9s off of everything. So
Right.
a 9 back then was gnarly. So we missed a lot of good shots too, because guys could have done something off some of the huge stuff that we hit that were just maybe a little bit downsized. Like Blauvelt almost switched back 9 mother.
Oh my
Like,
God.
I don't know where that footage is, but that would be so. He came so close to switchback 9ing that.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was serious, but also like exciting.
Yeah, I guess that didn't really answer your question, but like
no, it does.
It did turn into more of a job, and a scary job at that sometimes. You know, like I remember driving that year to go hit Mother, and I was like, and the other one that was really scary was Hurley Road Gap. Driving there in the morning, just you in your car and your coffee, and you're like, I hope I don't land on the road today. And I'd be like, dude, you can't think like that. Like this, like, and it's like you just like get like your balls would be climbing into your stomach, and then you're like, can't think like that, can't think like that, can't think like that. And
Natasha Zurich talked about getting a mindset coach. Did you ever have that? Or you ever think about that? Or was it kind of? No,
I wasn't caught up in. I would have that mindset, and then I'd be like, dude, the second you drop in, it all goes away. Like you kind of put yourself into previous spots.
Yeah.
And you've done it, and you know, it's like as soon as you drop into the park jump and you do a turn, you're like, you've forgotten about the fear.
Right. Totally.
Like when you're standing there about to do it, you're freaking out.
Yeah.
But once you drop in, you realize that kind of goes away.
So Ville, right, talked about how that pressure just didn't go with what he was doing.
Yeah.
So like
Ville.
Yeah. So like luckily for you, like dude, that one time we were up Mystery Lake and you pointed out that J tree that you tried to like air over, and I was like looking at it from physically where it was. I'm like, first of all, who would ever even conjure up that idea? It's not possible. Like, sure, maybe if you just bombed as fast as you could and it was salted, icy in-run, you could get over there, but it's small to land on. It's so fucking far. It's like, I thought you were fucking with me. Like, I honestly, until you showed me the footage of it, I was like, that's fucked up. Like, I was like in my brain going, what's up with Devun? Like, why would he lie about something so obviously not possible? And then when I saw your attempt at it, and you did say like, oh, there was like the snow was a little bit different.
Yeah,
but it wasn't.
It probably blew in a little smaller, but
it wasn't much smaller, dude.
Yeah,
like
it
was shit that you did was humongous, right? Like, and it just wasn't on the level of, I would even say, most of the forum team guys.
Yeah.
Right, like just people out there. That's your reputation.
All right, I think that it's just like when you get into like, I think everyone would be into it. They just don't necessarily see it the same way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Once you point it out, they're like, oh yeah, like I can do that.
Did anyone else hit that thing?
The Seymour?
Yeah.
No, it was just me and Andy were shooting that day.
But like, did someone see the jump you made and go like, "Oh, maybe I'll try that too"? Like,
Andy
I don't think
flew
so.
up and we were just shooting around Seymour,
That's
and we were
unreal.
just trying to get photos.
Yeah.
And I was like, I think this thing could work. Like,
I could get there.
So it was pretty funny.
Those
Because like I like packed it so quick with like my snowboard and like put in a little like chop mark and then hiked up and just trucked off it. And like I probably should have straight aired it once, but
you spun it.
I tried to alley-oop.
That's right. You alley-ooped it. That was
face. It was pretty funny. Anyway.
I just think, so like that kind of hammer talk of like, hey, we're going to do like really huge shit that's never been done before. Like, you're the right person for the job. Some people, you know, like Peter was saying that, you know, my stuff in the 90s wasn't as great as the last forum video that he had a part in.
Yeah.
And then I went back and watched his old stuff and I'm like, are you delusional? The old shit is so good.
Yeah.
He was so far ahead of everybody.
Totally.
So he must have had an eye for picking people that, you know, that I don't know. Maybe he didn't make up the team. The team just kind of came together through a bunch of
the forum
factors.
Team?
Yeah.
He definitely like had a big say.
Mm-hmm. Mack Dawg too, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Mack Dawg's the guy with eyes on the ground. Like,
yeah,
he knows
those
who's
guys kind of like picked who was relevant. I was already on Special Blend when it started, so I already had a relationship with Rawl, who owned like Forum Special Blend and everything. So
yeah,
it kind of was like natural for me to go over there.
That makes total sense.
And I'd already filmed a bit with Mack Dawg, so. But yeah, it was like the Mack Dawg crew.
Do you remember the excitement around it? Like, do you remember what it felt like when you first heard the name and everything? Like, were you like, oh, that sounds dope?
It was exciting, but I was so excited to be on Shorties, so it was like, I didn't really care that much.
Yeah, we've talked about that.
I actually thought, like, this is awesome, but like I love where I am.
Yeah, because you could have Shorties and Special Blend still be a part of that.
Yeah, and
still
like, shoot
for Dogger, and be a part of like the awesome shit that Tony was doing.
Yeah, yeah, totally.
What was it is it a loyalty thing, or is it that it was like just such a rad setup? You guys had shot those movies. I forgot that Evan Feen was the butler.
Yeah,
dude, I called him, or he called. Yeah, I called him and was like, "Fuck, you're the butler in that movie," and he's kind of complaining about it, like, "Fuck," you know, like it was like making fun of him a little bit.
Yeah, but, yeah, it was so funny.
Yeah.
He loved it, dude.
Yeah, I can only imagine Evan Feen. How much older than us is he? He's in his 60s now, I think.
Yeah.
So he was like 10 years older.
Yeah.
He's Mouse's buddy.
Yeah, and he was like a pioneer snowboarder from here. So. Dude,
I saw him do I'm not going to exaggerate, like a 35, 40-foot cliff at Donner in front of our eyes, no cameras. Last year.
No way.
Sending. Like an old man, like 60-something years old, 64 years old. Sending, dude.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Still got it. Yeah,
he's yeah, so the Shorties thing let's talk now about like what's going on with Shorties now, and then talk about what happened with Shorties.
Yeah.
I think people's initial reaction from, myself and people that I've talked to about it are like initially confused because it's like, oh, isn't he on Wired?
Yeah.
And where's Shorty's coming from? But then when you explain it, it just makes sense.
Yeah, I think I definitely, me and Rob, like after DC ended, Rob reached out to me about going on Wired and like kind of being more of like an ambassador for Wired, which totally makes sense to me. Like, Rob's been like one of my great friends for, I don't know, 30 plus years. So like me and Wired, like it works out well. And like, to me, the biggest thing is like, he builds quality shit. Like, that's like, we're totally on the same page with what the boards ride like, what they look like. So it's like a perfect fit. Plus it's down the street from me. So yeah, everything's been going last couple of years, going great. And then
that board with the Bruce Lee, I just have to say it,
Yeah.
man. I think, it's my favorite, definitely my favorite wire board that's ever been made. Kowalczyk did a killer job on
it's
on
pretty
the art.
rad. I love it. Dude.
Yeah. And then you showed up at the boardroom PK in the whole RDS kit. I was like, fucking
Year of the Dragon, man.
Yeah, it's sick.
It's the
dude.
Year of the Dragon.
Yeah.
That it comes out, and I'm born Year of the Dragon.
Sick.
So it's kind of a cool, and like, I don't know, I'm fascinated with Bruce Lee. So like,
And
when they did it, I was like, yeah, dude, it's like a no-brainer.
It's a no-brainer.
Yeah, no-brainer. And then, so anyway, last year, actually, I got to backtrack just a hair. About 5 years ago, I started to feel like, dude, I got to reach out to Tony, who owns Shorties, and like just sort of like, I don't know, rekindle that relationship just to like see how he's doing.
Yeah, because nothing happened, right? Like, it wasn't like he
Yeah.
was like, you're off the team, fuck you, and you were like...
We didn't, we had a really weird split up.
Yeah.
I don't know if you want to talk about that, but
Well,
maybe
I think most people know now.
before,
Yeah.
So, I just kind of left, and because he wasn't answering, he kind of was running skateboards and just didn't.
And then he just moved on, and you moved on, and that was that.
It's just kind of, he had too many like eggs in his basket, and he couldn't focus on the snowboarding. And I think the skateboarding was taking off so well, he just thought it would go well. Anyway,
I think probably the snowboards were a little expensive too, right? My guess is it just snowballed and got away from him.
I think so. And then he had the outerwear and the bags and
right.
And then salaries. It's like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Travel.
Dude, you brought those
We were
bags down.
making
They're
those videos.
so sick.
Yeah, they were rad.
Yeah, and the team was so good. The whole vibe was like incredible. I totally understand why you'd want to
So I've just been like as DC is one question.
Yeah.
Is it going to be screwed up with like kids talking and
No.
dogs barking?
No, we're good.
Okay. So like going back to it is, like 5 years ago or whatever, whenever DC kind of ended, I was like, dude, I wonder how Tony is doing, like, Shorties wise. And, like, not because I wanted to work with him or anything, just curious, like, how he's doing.
Yeah.
And then I kind of, like, tried to get his number a few times, and then over the couple of years, like, kind of, and then I found out that he passed away.
Oof.
And I was, like, floored, because, like, he kind of passed away at the time I was thinking about him. So it was, like, almost like a premonition.
Yeah.
If that's the right word.
That is, yeah,
But
for sure.
like, so anyway, long story short, his wife reaches out to me last year and is like, Tony had like a couple dying wishes. Was one to rekindle the skateboards with Chad. Well, rekindle the relationship with Chad, because I guess they had a bit of a weird falling out. I don't really know. They got the skateboards going again, and everything was going so well. And then, then she reaches out to me, and the other one was to get the snowboards going again. And she kind of said, "There's only one way to do it, is if I'm sort of gonna take the lead on it." So I kind of was like, "Oh wow, that's really awesome!" Like,
That's really
I need to
cool.
wrap my head around it a bit. And then I reached out to Rob about helping out, and like he's like, yeah, we could do it. And we kind of have been like dragging our feet a bit through the summer, and we kind of realized like, hey, we kind of tease the water a bit, and people have been kind of buying into it. So we decided to kind of make this year, like, yeah, we're gonna go for it and make this year a little bit of a building year and not really offer much, but kind of like sort of try to build it back organically, and just try to do it like the real way instead of rushing to get it out. It's like,
Right.
so it's kind of been really cool.
Yeah. I've watched the journey a little bit with like Tony's wife. What's her name?
Krishna.
Krishna, right. With Krishna sending you guys that initial package of just like, hey, this is all the stuff that I can find.
Yeah.
And it was like old like magazines with ads
Catalogs
and like catalog. Oh,
and,
such sick
Just
stuff.
random stuff.
Yeah.
I just got another one with like all the slides from the years,
Oh,
and like
wow.
and like some of the initial drawings of the clothing,
Holy
things like
crap.
that. It was awesome. And then they sent me like an old board bag.
Yeah.
So,
That's where that came
yeah.
from.
Yeah, so then like I'm kind of like, I'm still on Wired, and have a board, and like it's kind of who I'm like the ambassador for, but I'm like running the Shorties program. And I occasionally ride a Shorties board, but like it's kind of like my baby, but it's like I'm still kind of snowboarding for, it's kind of like if a musician has like a guitar on like Fender, and then they often have like a lower priced guitar on another brand.
Epiphone or something,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's kind of like similar to that. It's
Yeah. Have you been following what Terrier's been doing at all?
no, I haven't.
He's got a board with Zen, which
Yeah.
is a dude, Reto from.
Yeah, I know who you mean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he's also done boards with other brands.
Okay.
And he told me that he just was, as long as the board is, he's not going to make the same board with two companies.
Right.
But, obviously he wants to have a quiver of boards.
Yeah.
And he'll make one with one company, one with
It's
another.
like a licensing fee.
Yeah, I was like,
basically.
dude, Dow, get on
Yeah.
there. Imagine Devin and
Yeah.
Terrier on the team
Yeah,
together.
yeah, there you go.
That'd be pretty sick,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, text Terrier, do you want a Shorties freestyle board?
Yeah, I'll do it right now.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, but so we just want to build it back organically, and yeah, I mean, we kind of like running through the plans right now, but it's like a little bit old, a little bit of new. Want to touch on some of the nostalgia, but also like put out some new stuff that we think like Tony would have had some of the like, like ideas about. And
That's what Peter was just saying about Forum.
yeah,
He's like, he understands how important it is to people, like what it was before. And he's like, I want to make sure that I take care of those dudes,
yeah,
but I also want it to be like it was before, which was like progressive in the space. So you don't want to just only make what you made before.
it just looks too progressive right now. Like, give us a little bit of old,
Yeah, yeah.
a little more of old.
He's
Not just on the Instagram.
right. He's got so much. He's got so much to work with Forum,
Oh,
right?
yeah, dude.
Like it's unbelievable.
Unreal.
I was surprised that Mack Dawg being involved with it before, they didn't just like inundate with like old super footage of, or like outtakes, like what you're
Yeah.
saying, like
Yeah.
Blovelt's like Switch 9. Was it Cab 9 or
Switchback 9.
Switchback 9 on Mother? Unbelievable.
Yeah, I was like, run that thing, man.
Just run it. Yeah.
Put it in anyway.
Body,
Land
even if he bodies. Yeah, yeah. Even if he
I
bodies.
think he landed in nose roll. Like I'm pretty
yeah.
sure. He did it a couple times.
Jesus.
It was insane.
That's nuts.
Yeah.
So yeah, with Shorties, is there talk? I mean, you're still in the early stage, right? So is there talk of like a young Brown Walsh part 2, or like
Well, it wouldn't be a young Brown Walsh. But
be
it
an
would
old Brown Walsh, I guess?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
But you're still friends with Browner. Have you talked with Kevin in the last 20 years?
Like probably in the last 2 years,
Good.
3 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How's he doing? He's doing good, right?
Yeah, really good.
Yeah, I love that guy.
Yeah. Yeah, he's doing super well. And like I think he comes up and rides every so often. And
Yeah, he was here a couple of years
but he
back.
loves Costa Rica.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think there's a freedom down there, surfing.
Yeah, totally.
Like I heard DCP's whole family just talking about surfing down there. It's super good, right?
Yeah. And like he has like I want to say like a restaurant or like
Oh
they
yeah,
have like
healing cuisine. His wife was doing something.
Something or like a market, something.
That's rad. I was talking with him that was pre Costa Rica, and he was like, "We're gonna get out of here. We're taking off. We're gonna go surf or whatever."
Yeah, yeah.
And then reconnecting with him 10 years later when I did the show, and they love it down there. Obviously, yeah, it's rad.
Yeah,
it's a good setup.
Yeah, it is.
So yeah, KY was like, to me, Kevin was the very first like super pro that I had ever met, because I met him at Lake Ridge, and he was so down to earth. He was with Vitelli, and Vitelli was kind of the more like outgoing of the two. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And Kevin was like just big pants and such good style and riding really fast. And he was really influential for a lot of Canadians, I think, for just probably for everybody in the world, I'd imagine.
He I don't know. He was the first. Well, I guess Boyer was a big super pro. Who else did I meet?
Where did you meet Boyer?
He rode for West Beach.
So he came up for one of those shoots?
Yeah, and he came to. Did he come to that shoot?
The Mount Seymour one.
Maybe it was just KY. How did I get him on Barfoot? I don't know. I thought he was there.
He was.
I don't remember any of his photos though.
I think there's one over
but
the
like
thing
he
that
seemed like a bigger pro because he wasn't like I'd seen KY around.
Right.
Where it's like, you know what I mean? Like
John Boyer. He had
his own model and
on Barfoot, which was so sick at that time. It was
Barfoot was like like next level.
Yeah.
For some reason.
Yeah,
like
because
Barfoot seemed like so cool because it was from Southern California.
Yeah, it wasn't Sims and it wasn't Burton. Those things had their own like kind of ethos.
Yeah.
Barfoot was like, and those first boards with like the Astro Boy and all that stuff.
That was my board.
Was it a mini Boyer or something? What was it? What was the actual
it was a mini
model?
Boyer.
And Astro Boy, like that was like you're like
well, yeah, Chuck made it and then
right. But did you have some input into the shape and shit? You just
it was like skatey.
Yeah, it really was skatey.
I flew down to film for It's the Source or something it's called. Like, with Boyer, and we kind of designed it on the trip, like what we wanted it to
That's
look like.
unbelievable. You're blowing my mind right now.
And then like I remember we flew in, we hung out in San Diego, went to like Pacific Drive.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is awesome. Like, holy cow. I was like 16 maybe?
15 probably even.
Yeah, I was so young. And like, I went into Pacific Drive with like, and then those guys all lived there, like Jake, Dale, and Russell. Nate lived there? I don't know. Anyway, and then we like hung out there, went skating. I was like, this is crazy. We remember eating like one of the first times there was a hot wing place and we got a bucket of hot wings. I was like, this is the life. Like, and then we went up and filmed it in like up at the mountain. But I remember driving up there, like Boyer rented a caddy, like a big Cadillac, and driving up to Big Bear in the hot summer. Was
Boyer making money? He was making okay money.
I don't know. He seemed rich to me.
I love it. Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like
he's told me
he was filming.
Yeah.
As well. It was for like rap films.
Oh yeah, right.
So he was filming as well as riding. So we had a guy who was like also filming, but Boyer would film some of the shots too. And then and then Jamie Lynn showed up with Cersei, and I was like, this is like insanity.
That's nuts.
And then we designed that board, and then it came out. The year after was the one I had, the Astro Boy with the thing on it.
Yeah.
I got it in the late spring or something.
Right.
I had it in the summer but I wrote a cut down version at Big Bear.
Yeah, he told me that he went to Chuck and said, Devon's the next dude. And Chuck went, I thought you were the dude. And he's like, well, there's more than one. You know what I mean? Plus you want to bring up the young blood. And Chuck was like, no, you're the guy.
Yeah, you're him.
You are it. You shouldn't be coming to me and telling me someone's better than you. Kind of vibe. I don't know. I might be getting that wrong, but But I know
wasn't
you
better than him, but I was like the little kid.
He could see it. He could see. You were different, right? Like he was really smooth in a half pipe.
Yeah.
And he was really good at transitions. Very, very good style. Yeah. Had he been on another brand, he probably...
We didn't really know what we were doing.
Well, nothing had happened, right? Like 360s were a big deal. 540s were like, your landing backwards are kind of sketchy.
Totally.
You got a couple of people like Sean Johnson and Mike Rankwit doing switch stuff. Quinn Sandvold doing a whole run switch, which was dope. I remember you, Dow, and Roberta riding backwards in Montana in 1994, just focusing on riding backwards.
Yeah.
And I remember being like, okay, but it's I can't even ride forwards good yet. When the hell are you guys riding backwards? And I remember you actually telling me, switch method is so hard. And I was like, seems like it would be really easy. You're like, dude, try it. It's the hardest thing.
Yeah.
To get your body into that. Super awkward. But I've told you this before. After that, you came up with a hit run. As a group, there was a hit run at Montana.
I remember that.
Yeah, it was fun.
Pretty fun, actually.
We had a good, and there was one hit that was kind of just a wedge, mini wedge into a nice steep, pretty endless landing.
Yeah.
And so I went and rode that with the Hawaiian guys from Ice Age, and I was just riding it how you guys were riding it, and then they just thought I was amazing because they were like, holy shit, you came up with this? I was like, yeah. Totally came up with this. No, they didn't ask that, but they were impressed.
I remember we had a super good hit run there because the mountain was kind of boring other than that.
It was really flat. It was really
it's big but flat.
And I remember going off into the trees, how you would hear, and then all of a sudden you're in snag. It was really
no
bad.
Snow. You're like, what the fuck?
Yeah, it was just good groomers.
It was super weird.
Yeah, it was good groomers. But
Colorado style.
Yeah. Well, that was when you were on Never.
Yeah.
So the Never stuff starts creeping into the barfoot quality was fine, right? Those boards were all right.
Yeah, except for the one. There's one that I rode during the winter with a cut down nose. It was so stiff. It was it was not a good board. It felt. Something about it reminds me of a 2x4.
Yeah, it was off. It was just too thick through the
exactly.
the
It was super heavy.
Yeah.
And then I got that little one, the Astro Boy, and it was insane.
That's when, I remember that's when I first saw you in videos. Because it got that board, you got some shots.
That Astro Boy.
Yeah.
That's in the rap video.
Yeah, and I think it's in a Dogger video too, in the random part. There's one spin of you at Mount Hood or something.
Mount Hood for sure.
Yeah. And I was like...
It might have been a Mouse movie.
No, it could have been a Mouse movie.
I think Mouse was there.
Yeah, that Mouse thing was pretty sick.
I actually called him the other day.
Oh, good.
Yeah, it was rad. We had a good talk.
He seems like one of the best.
Yeah, he was talking about making an archive for all footage. And I was like, dude.
For everybody.
That could be incredible.
It would be amazing.
Yeah, an action sports archive,
Mm-hmm. I think we need it. I think now the way that the world is with so much content.
Yeah. He's like, if I die tomorrow, it's just going to be gone. It'll be in a storage locker.
Boxes in his,
Yeah, no
you know
one will
what?
know.
Wouldn't even go in a storage locker because I've seen it. It's in his garage, right? Like there's boxes in his garage, like the end, you know?
Yeah.
Milk. Like they're each just like boxes of stuff. It's so valuable to like to the culture, to the community of snowboarding. But to his family, they would be like, okay, well,
where do we
with
start?
this shit?
Yeah.
Because who's going to come out of the woodwork and be like, hey, you know what? Give us his stuff. It would be good to get like someone just working 40 hours a week in the middle of nowhere where it's cheap to have a warehouse or something. Just get everybody to send their footage there. Like all old tapes, and you know what? You're going to find some stuff like Blovelt's Switch 9 that you could probably make a brand new movie with shit from back then.
Rad shit.
That would be untouchable.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, the never years are just, it's just one, isn't it? Or two?
I was just desperate for a board sponsor.
Right.
So I went, and they lured down the street.
Yeah.
So I went there, and Rob was already riding for them. So, and then we actually made rad boards. More when it was, it was never. I don't think it was switching to option when I quit. But
well, that mini Dow was going to be the Devon, but then it was.
Yeah, we made it, and
we
we wrote it. I remember.
Yeah.
We had that like shape, which we talked about, like the radius to flat.
Let's talk about it a little more in depth. Like, what did you guys sit down and draw that, or conceptualize that, and bring it to someone at option to try and make, or?
Yeah, I don't know. We just came up with it because we were thinking about how, like, when you're riding and we have all these scoop noses, everything's like pushing in this deep snow.
Yeah.
And it's not even like we were big powder riders, but we were riding like packed powder all over.
Yeah.
So it's like everything was just pushing through, and then we started like thinking about like a boat hull, how it comes out of the water and has a kick and then it runs flat. So when it's sitting down in the water, it's got the flat part, but as it picks up to speed, it rises out and then it kind of floats.
Yeah.
So we kind of came up with the idea, like, we should put that on our snowboards, and then we kind of, and it was based off the ride kick, where it was super square. The ride actually had like a full kink.
Yeah.
Which seemed pretty great when we looked at it, but then it didn't have that flow. So it's kind of mixed off of that as well.
I remember the ride kink.
It was a full kink, like just a straight.
And the fact that the nose and tail were flat, it was like really exciting because it felt like, all right, we're going to be able to lock in on like nose and tail slides like you would on your skateboard.
Yeah, yeah.
But then you're not standing on it like you are on your skateboard. Yeah. So like when you
really
tried it
work.
out at first, you're
but
like,
it looked rad.
It looked like it would work, and then it didn't really work.
Yeah. Yeah, but it like looked cool.
It looked super sick. So what you guys came up with was like something that actually functioned and had the look.
Yeah.
Like it was kind of like the best.
So then I remember riding it at Baker the first time. It was so deep. And I was riding like the tiniest board.
46, yeah.
Yeah, and it was like we were ripping around there, and I'm like, we were laughing at how good it was riding.
That's what the timing was there. Was like boards had been about 160 forever. And then like a mini was like a 155 or something.
Yeah, exactly.
And so you guys, everybody in the industry was trying to find out like how small can we go?
Well, the Acmes came out, and it was like, whoa, these are actually pretty rideable for smaller people.
Yeah, and what was the Acme? It was 51 or something.
49, I think.
49. You're right.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, you're right. It was under 150.
But you gotta remember, it was a Libtech, so it could have been a 53, or it could have been a 46. the number didn't necessarily dictate what the actual length was.
The Acme that you rode from them, did it have the long flowing kick or did it have the kink kick?
Mine had the long flowing.
Yeah.
The kink ones are super hard to get.
Yeah, yeah.
I remember I did get one, but it snapped.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
The kink snapped.
Because they were getting them real thin.
Yeah.
And they had those little plates on the boards that created like a contact point that broke.
That's the only board that I ever broke.
Was the Lib Acme with the kink?
No, right.
Or the other one, the regular one. Yeah.
I mean, the kink snapped.
Yeah.
But I actually broke a board right in front of the front foot.
Yeah, yeah.
Like on a big jump. Well, not big, but...
I can't believe you didn't break other boards. You broke boards later on, no? Not really?
No, I'm like a featherweight, dude. I got no weight, right? So it's like not much. I mean, I pulled out a binding here or there.
And you would tumble over the nose, so you would land kind of flat.
Think of
and
a board
then
I broke.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to believe.
Well, like I didn't ride park much, and
right. So big stuff in the backcountry.
Yeah.
When you would biff it, wouldn't be hard on the board.
No.
That's wild, actually, to think of all that shit. Was there a moment where you actually thought, okay, I'd rather, and you said it at the beginning, right? Like the push to do more rotations versus let's try and do a big back one, right? Like you got a reputation for those big back ones.
I just, like I said before, in like the previous or whatever, like I just wanted to be more of a skateboarder, and that was like my influence. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't like, and it's not like we were going out and like practicing these big spins. So like I dabbled in doing like 9s and 7s, but it never really felt great. Where the big floaty things always felt like wicked. Like it just felt so cool. Like that Mark Frank float. Like it just feels like you take off a cliff and you just like pop out to do a front 3 no grab, and you're like floating through the air, like not moving. You're like, and he's watching it all happen. Or when you throw a front 7, you're like, oh, you kind of whip it, and then you just, oh, there's the landing right out, and you're like, you know what I mean? It's not. It didn't feel as good. You know what I mean?
Totally, that makes total sense. Justin Lamoureux talked about double corks and how when you're learning them, like you can put a camera on your head and give the POV of it, and like people watching go like, whoa, like it looks like pretty disorienting. He's like, when you're actually doing one, it's coming around so fast that it's not even like you don't get to spot your landing. You're just putting your body in the right position and then hoping that the board goes where it is. And then your board just
and then you're riding again.
Right. Whereas like your big backcountry stuff, it translates to like the people watching too. Like, ooh, I'd rather see something like that.
Yeah.
Like for me at least, I can't speak for everyone.
No, for sure. I mean, and there's always like I don't know. I love seeing like a big like backside or like spin like double cork over. That's good. Like I love seeing that kind of stuff.
Of course.
I'm just not much for the chuck. I don't like the chuck.
Yeah, and there was like a long time in there where it was a chuck. We talked actually with.
It's like just see how many you can get around and.
Yeah.
It was like, and a lot of people didn't do it with style to like get it. And then there was lots with style, but also it did sometimes often just look like a chuck.
Yeah, definitely. Like we were talking about the Michael Chuck West Beach Classic where he does a double backflip and kind of reverts out like alley-oop, double backflip, like comes out 180. Yeah. Like that was 10 years before someone does a double chuck in a pipe, like a double cork.
Yeah,
10 years.
It was insane, dude.
So like every once in a while you'd see some crazy shit go down that was like, oh shit, if that guy could land that, or like Michael Chuck was doing his own thing. Like
yeah, it was like
he was in a weird category.
Like I loved seeing that.
Yeah.
Just because it was like so different.
It was beyond big. I remember being like, nobody's going that big. Plus, he's doing something nobody's doing.
I didn't understand how he could go up and do it and land in the transition. Like, He obviously knew how to ride half pipe pretty good.
Yeah, there was something about the momentum of flipping back, like, and throwing over the deck that kind of...
Yeah, he just could do it, like, at that time, like, because all the pipes were so different that it was a pure push off to get back in, so it's not like he was just riding the wall.
Yeah.
And just, like, popping. He was like, he actually had to pop and chuck.
And figure out where that ends him up on the wall.
Yeah, and he was
pretty consistently good at that shit.
Yeah, it was rad.
Yeah, so like...
That guy's a beast.
A beast. And so it's like I imagine your Instagram feed, you see a lot of the same stuff that I see, right? Like the Torstein movie with all those like sick shots, like Cicerelli just crushing like in such a rad way. Yeah. It's like what you were talking about before, right? Like bringing that stuff to the backcountry and making it look good, like with floating and proper grabbing. And
Torstein's good at that.
Yeah.
Like that stuff looks good.
It looks great, right? Yeah. It's like new. It's like that's what the new
he does,
thing
like,
is.
Progressive tricks
that
are like I always think back, like one of the first interviews I ever saw with Jeremy Jones, not Forum Jeremy Jones, Big Mountain. He's like, I just really want to bring progressive tricks to the mountain, like these big faces, and he never did that, really.
Right.
But he rode rad shit. Like,
totally.
He never... But I always thought, like, I wanted to bring progressive stuff to the backcountry. So that was always my... Like, that's what I always wanted to do. And it's like, Torstein is completely doing that.
Yeah. Yes.
There's, like... And Cicerelli and...
Yeah, that whole... I got to see that movie in the theater.
Yeah.
Return, it's called, right? Is that what it is?
I don't know.
Dude, it's so sick. It's like, it was such a perfect big screen movie. Like, you know how back in the day we'd go see movie premieres and they weren't always great to see on a big screen.
Chris
Rasman?
Yeah, Rasman.
Dude.
Fuck.
Dude.
They like, those guys have the float, but they do like somewhat progressive stuff. Like,
yeah.
It's not wild, but just good styles.
Really big, well filmed.
I mean, yeah.
Because a lot. I mean, when you were coming up, shit was huge, right? Like when you think about those old cliff days, like of like California, Sean Farmer, Parada, Sione, like those guys are. Damian Sanders, for crying out loud! Like,
remember that backflip off?
So stupid how good that is.
Like,
I think that's the I-80, right? Yeah,
It's like, what? Who backflips that in hard boots in like 89?
Yeah, it's insane.
It's insane.
It's actually still insane by today's standards.
Yeah, I've never been to those cliffs because I heard they're like, well, I've never really been there and the snow's been good. Just because like it's few and far times between, and I heard like leave the hike at like 3 a.m. for like sunrise or some shit. Like, he did it in flat light in that movie.
Yeah.
Like, that's like flat light. It's not what we shoot in nowadays.
No.
Like, you wouldn't even film on that day. And he backed it. Like,
and Steve Graham,
that guy,
you're talking about the shot where Steve Graham lands it. And
that guy fucks. Right? Isn't that?
Yeah.
Like,
hell yeah.
Yeah.
Fucking Damien, dude.
What did Steve Graham do? Back 3?
Steve Graham I think he just drops it straight, but he lands and rides away. And Damien does a backflip and just
like
bodies on the landing a little bit, but he rides away. Yeah. Like
old school style. Like,
old school.
Stop.
Yeah.
Well, not quite, but
remember they used to just body on the landing, stand up, and like there'd be a puff.
That was a ski move. But,
yeah.
But we could get away with it early years.
Early on, yeah. Some people snuck some stuff a little later on too.
Then we just started cutting.
Yeah.
Tight. Cut tight. Oh, stomp. Cut tight.
Yeah.
No nose roll after. Just it's cut tight.
Well, my favorite thing about Shorties being back is that you're going to be running the thing, and if it does well, then you do well, which is really important.
The other thing is, like, I've been mulling it over for the last, like, half a year, and sort of taking a look at the snowboard industry, and, like, the industry is really lacking these companies that are run by snowboarders that actually want to, like, help snowboarding. So, like, Wired is one of those companies that is doing that, but, like, a mass majority of the companies are all, like, conglomerate run. And it's like they just want to make money. It's like, yeah, I want to make money too, but I want to actually see snowboarding benefit as well. So, like, kind of a little bit of the, like, angst to do it is, like, to, like, sort of promote snowboarding and, like, the history of snowboarding, and like, I think Shorties never had a fair run. Like, kind of had its 3-year window, and it made some amazing things happen. A couple snowboard movies, awesome team, and great product. And then it just 1 year they just didn't make boards. That's it. It's not like it went out of business or anything. It just...
Yeah, Jamie Salter didn't buy it and sell it into Canadian Tire or...
That's right,
yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. It
So
hasn't
it's
been a second tier
it's
thing.
Like it's just like Tony just moved on to something else. And
yeah.
so I think it's just such a cool... And, like, now's a perfect time to bring it back. It's, like, going to be the 30-year anniversary next year.
Sick.
So it's like an absolute perfect time for it to kind of come back, and you know, I'm not expecting it to, like, you know, make massive sales or make anyone rich, but it's going to be a fun passion project and just make good boards.
Could open the door too for some trips and some things like that are just like...
And, like, I don't know, like, bring up some cool riders that, you know, push them into the limelight.
Yeah.
It's like...
Yeah, that's right. You got to ride with Marty last year.
Yeah, that was cool.
Super fun. Hey, like,
Seymour.
Really cool. Like, Seymour is still, like, going, right? Like, when you... It's fun. I've been there where you're there and we're riding the chairlift, and I'm like... People freak out that you're there. People love
I was thinking about it, though, today, driving home. Like, my relationship with Seymour, and, like, not only, like the people who own it, but the actual mountain itself. It's like, I went out last year, it snowed one day. Like, I don't even think it opened till end of February, early March.
It was a bad year.
And I went out, like, 3 days, and I got a bunch of photos. And, like, you can't go to Grouse and just go build something and shoot photos. You can go ride the park and get photos. But, like, it's pretty hard to find something that you shovel out
it's almost impossible,
okay?
yeah.
And there's a couple things off Skychair.
It's Seymour.
At Cypress.
Yeah, at Cypress. I mean, yeah.
But arguably... that are worth shooting, I don't know.
They're very small. You're right.
So it's like it's
super
pretty
tiny.
Amazing.
They've got a great backdrop, but it's not. There's not the natural.
Yeah,
I just
crazy.
I just saw Sluggo's, like, it has to be like a high school write up that he did for Thrasher back in the day, and it's got him going off. There's two clefts at Cypress called Big Man and Little Man, and he's hitting Little Man.
Yeah, it's
got a really good. Like, I think Jody Morris shot the photo. It's a fucking sick photo.
Yeah.
But you could shoot that photo again.
Totally.
But he hit that in 90 maybe? 91?
I got Jody Morris slides upstairs from
that's
from
so
days.
sick. That's so sick.
But yeah, like, there's, like, hundreds of hits.
Yeah,
Seymour.
I think that's another thing that I've learned through the show. You've got a couple of cool spots, like Brighton is very similar in that there's a lot of amazing terrain. Like, if you were just, like, reading Ski Resort magazine, you'd be like, why the fuck would we go to Seymour? Why the hell would we go to Brighton? They're tiny. There's nothing there. But for skateboard style snowboarding, there's nothing better.
Oh yeah, it's amazing. The way the snow packs too, like it, like it'll snow like 3 feet of snow, but you only sink 6 inches to a foot.
Yeah.
But the rest is really soft. But
Yep.
so it like building jumps is so easy, and like it packs around everything and makes all the bushes build into bumps and hollows. And
It would have been during the Shorties era too that you guys started hitting that city booter, right? Like, was it?
Yeah, it was Shorties era for sure.
Yeah, and
I filmed like for Whiskey, like 2020, which is one of the Whiskey movies that they made, but it was supposed to be the real snowboard movie.
Yeah.
I hit that on my Shorties board.
Who discovered that city booter?
I think it was like Sansone, maybe.
Yeah.
I think so. Like Seymour Kids for sure. If it wasn't Sansone, it was like in the crew.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Who did Sansone ride for when you were on Shorties? Santa Cruz, or did he get on option?
I was Santa Cruz and then moved over to option.
Yeah. I remember him making that move because he learned switch rodeos.
Yeah.
Switch backside rodeos.
Yeah.
And then he won West Beach Big Air,
like
and he won X Games. And that was just like, the way I remember him being like kind of at the end of his like professional career with Santa Cruz. He's like, I'm not getting the kind of support that I need, and I'm not
totally,
like, I'm thinking of going back to school. I could be completely off on that, but I remember sort of winding down for him. I think he broke his ribs at Seymour and had to get helied out.
Yeah, he did.
And it was like
on a Santa Cruz there.
And it was pretty major. Like, it was like a major
he punctured
injury.
his lung.
Oh, that's right.
It was gnarly.
And then I remember Corey from Invasion working up in the park.
Yeah.
Remember Shane and Corey from Invasion?
Yeah, totally.
And Corey was like in charge of maybe shaping the half pipe, and there were a couple of jumps there. There was like one jump right from Lodge that people were just learning all these like misty flips, rodeo flips, frontside rodeos.
Yeah.
All that stuff was just going down on these jumps. And I think Sansone learned it switch on that jump. I might be wrong. Because he would go back and forth.
Trick,
yeah, he would go back and forth between Whistler and...
It's like dangerous looking.
And it was technically like the best trick you could do at that time.
Oh, yeah.
It was sick. He deserved what he got at option. That was super dope.
Yeah, that's rad.
And he led the ship really well. Like, he really...
Yeah, he did. I think he relaunched the option brand.
I think you're right.
Because, like, he podiumed at X Games, and, like, that was a big deal then.
Yeah.
X Games were, like, new and hot, and not like today. Did I say that?
Yeah, I don't even know. What are they now?
I don't know. They got wild.
They went weird.
Influencers.
They went weird that influencer year, but supposedly they're going to listen to Todd and Salema. I don't know. Probably reboot something.
Okay.
I don't know. Like, all the contest stuff for me, it was like, the Olympics was super whack when it first came out.
Yeah.
And then everything kind of fell apart in competition snowboarding at that point. Plus, the only thing to really pay attention to at that point was filming.
Yeah.
Right? Like, and filming got out of hand.
Yeah.
I feel like that series that you did on DC that was like shot this week and put out like 2 weeks later was one of the first things where I was like, ooh, shit, this is going to fuck the videos pretty hard. Like, that's, like, we're now seeing the videos.
I'm having a brain fart. What was it called?
Oh, I can't even remember.
Polar Opposites.
Polar Opposites.
Yeah.
I remember it being like, oh shit, we're seeing next year's video stuff right now. That I remember thinking that. Like, oh, is this going to be in the video next year too? But we already saw it's kind of spoiling the video.
We probably should have kept that rolling. It was pretty cool, I think.
Yeah, it was super dope.
Yeah. But then, you know what the problem was? Is we would go and hit stuff, then people would see it, and then we'd go back to hit it again, and people had already posted, and we're like, the fuck, how'd they know about it? Oh yeah, we already released it. Fuck. Like, it pissed us off. Because then people would go there and do like a better trick than we got, and then put it out in next year. And it was like,
right.
It was like, hey, you're welcome.
Yeah. That's amazing. Yeah, I saw Arthur Longo at Seymour last season. You would have heard about that, obviously. People like, Arthur's at fucking at Seymour. And Josh, the intern, and the kid that works in the park up there was like hitting the same feature as him at the same time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then there's like, it's not an argument. Like, obviously, Arthur's going to hit it better. Sorry, Josh, just because it's Arthur and his style is good.
Yeah.
But like, you could technically see someone else coming and hitting it almost as good as Arthur. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which, when you see those side hits things, he's kind of just by himself. It looks like he's riding down.
Totally.
So it's the same thing, right? He hits it one day. Somebody posts like, oh, I saw Arthur up here. Then a whole crew starts following him around, watching what he's hitting.
Totally.
And I'm watching his like pro filmer who's right here. And I'm like, am I allowed to just film this beside you? And they're like, it's a free country.
Yeah.
And then I've got an iPhone clip that's almost as good as the video clip. And I asked Arthur, like, I'm not going to post this because like until after you guys do your thing.
You put out your thing.
And
but it's good teaser,
he didn't give a fuck.
It's a good teaser.
I guess
if it was like his big banger from the whole year,
it wasn't
to go out.
It wasn't for sure. But like but then I've got a good one of Josh. So do I put out the Josh one?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, I can only imagine. You guys, during the peak Seymour years, you weren't getting up at 3 a.m. to go get the sunrise shot. You guys were meeting in the parking lot and taking the lift up.
Like in the peak Seymour years?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we were hungover.
Right.
Yeah.
I remember Dow saying to me, I don't even go if there's not a filmer going.
Yeah.
I was like, dude, that sounds so not core.
Yeah, but we would go ride once in a while, but like after the beginning of the year, like you ride hard until like January.
Yeah.
And then any day you go up, you're filming.
Yeah.
Like that's our kind of thing. Was we had tried filming sort of the beginning of the year and everything kind of looked sketchy. And then we realized like, you just don't film now. You just go ride your brains out. But like we trained like for, I don't know, 4 years, 5, 6 years. Every time we rode Glacier Chair in Blackcomb, we dropped that cliff at the top of the chair.
Every single run,
we dropped that cliff.
Jesus.
Yeah, Dion, and Jake. We'd send, the cliff right underneath the chair.
Yeah.
At the very top. We'd come down and drop that thing. And if it was icy, we'd drop it on an angle into the moguls.
That's insane.
That was our training, dude. Like, we trained.
You knew you were training.
Yeah. When we were up riding, we were training. Hagger it, we were doing tricks off it. You know what I mean? Like, we weren't filming, we were training.
That's nuts.
But, yeah, once it turns into January, you don't go unless you're filming.
It's still fun, though, like the training thing. Like, so, like, what you and Dion do up there now, like, if you go up and ride and you don't have your kids with you, and you're just hitting the hip run.
We're idiots. We just rip. We ride like we're 18.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, when Dickie Donnie was up there riding with us, I remember him being super stoked that he was keeping up.
Yeah.
Like, you were just gapping one of the first side hits walls over the big bathtub and, like, landing on a landing, which is, like, the smart thing to do.
Yeah.
Obviously, you don't want to land in a bathtub.
Yeah, yeah.
And he just got broke off. Remember, he did his shoulder in? Because he was confident. Like, he's like, oh, this is good.
Yeah.
I remember that about that hit run in Montana. I was confident because you set the line, and the line is good. It goes to the landing. If you try and do it on your own, you come up on your own on another day, and you're like, oh, I'm going to gap
I've had lots of days like that though too, where you're just off and then you just go home.
Welcome to like all of my snowboarding. Just a little off, a little shaky. Yeah.
I've had lots of days like that.
I remember back in the day hearing that you wouldn't let photographers submit. Maybe it's just surface. No, you work with Catella and Morris, so many people, that you wouldn't let them submit photos where you didn't land the thing.
Yeah, well, that was kind of a rule of thumb.
For you?
Yeah, I mean, you at least had to land it. Maybe it's not the one you landed.
Right.
But you at least have to have a land on it.
Yeah, so you couldn't put a photo up of something that you were just
lots of it was sequences too, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, you were there for the sequence time. Shorties was the sequence time.
Yeah.
Like,
we got some sequences upstairs too.
Do you?
Yeah.
Damn. Is it all you or is it the whole Shorties team?
It's the whole Shorties team.
Okay, who was all on the team?
I can't wait to get a light board and start taking some photos.
Oh, you're gonna be putting all those up for the Shorties Instagram. Dude, that's so sick.
Yeah.
So it was you, Kevin, and Browner, Dion. Was there ever anyone else on the team?
Brandon.
Which Brandon?
I can't remember his last name. Brandon. It's like he's kind of a young kid. And then Natasha.
Oh yeah, she was on Shorties before.
Yeah, we found her.
Well, she was on Never before.
Yeah, well, that's where Rob found her. I guess they say we, but
yeah, she was riding grouse and she was ripping.
Yeah, she's insane. Dude, what a short career she had though.
No, she went for a while.
Did she?
Yeah, she went for a while.
Okay.
She did A team for Burton for like a good chunk.
Okay.
And she ripped, and she did really well at competitions.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she's just quiet. And there was a lot more people got piled into the game at that point. I guess
maybe my career just lasted so long, it seemed like people had short careers.
Isn't that nuts?
Maybe I milked it too hard at the end, but it's like I kept going up and being like, I don't know, the shit still seems relevant. Like, everyone else is hitting this shit too.
Yeah.
Like, just because I'm not doing big tricks off it doesn't mean it's not relevant. It's the same. I'm hitting the same shit everyone else is hitting.
I think that you were in the era that it got as big as it got. Like, I don't think it ever gotten bigger. I don't know.
Other than a few jumps like that
crazy
like
ones.
E-Jack that's hit or John Jackson.
Yes.
Torstein's like gap over that like crazy that was on the cover. Like there's other than Travis Rice a few like couple big gaps in Alaska. Nothing's really ever gone that much bigger.
Right, not double, not another magnitude. Right.
You know what I mean? Like
I totally know what you mean.
Yeah, like occasionally someone hits a bigger jump, like E-Jack and maybe Blauvelt. They hit some massive jump. That surface shot. And
yeah, I can think of it.
You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
But other than that, like,
but it's not like everybody that's a pro right now is hitting shit that's bigger than what you guys were hitting. It's just not the way that it went.
It's like there's that one cliff, the one that we called it Chief. The Burton guys went and hit it after. It's like on the way from like in the back country from Brandywine to Callahan. I looked at that thing for ages and ages and ages, and it finally, like, everyone else drove by it too, but no one else hit it.
Yeah.
Till me and Lanny hit it. And it was like, that thing was huge. Then the Burton guys saw we hit it, so then they went and hit it.
That's amazing.
But like, it's like people just don't seem to want to find new jumps.
I don't know that the incentive is there anymore, right?
Well,
like,
no, there's no danger pay anymore.
Right.
Like there was danger pay. Like I remember being on things going, this is fucked. Like this is ridiculous. It's like, well, I'm getting danger pay, so.
You're getting danger pay, plus you're also getting innovator pay, right? Because you're innovating products are not up to snuff.
But I mean, that was part of the love, though, too.
Yeah.
Was the innovator part of it.
Those West Beach days, like the fat pants. Like, remember just like wanting stuff that didn't exist yet. You're like thinking of it in your mind, and you're like, oh, these pants would be super sick if they were just this bit more fat. Or if they didn't have that taper. Oh, they've got like a little bit of a taper.
Totally.
If they could just flare out a little bit. And then someone like, remember that Jez guy? He would like...
Yeah, Jez.
He would do like backflips and stuff, but he would pierce himself.
Yeah.
He was such a wild man. But I think that he was one of the first people that sewed
stitched
in
them together.
Stuff.
They stitched this thing in here.
Yeah.
They cut him open, stitched him in, and then like a couple other people did that too.
It was sick. I remember
Maybe
looking at it and
Swaro
being like, yeah, like
someone
being like, oh, dude, you can do that?
Yeah.
Like, damn. So yeah, the innovation came from like, it didn't exist the way.
We bought our stuff. Like I rode for West Beach, or didn't ride for West Beach, but I rode the West Beach gear, like before I was sponsored. And then I went to like Army and Navy, and we bought all these fat things. And then when we started designing for West Beach, we designed the fat stuff. And Chip was like, what's going on here? And next thing you know, it's like revolutionary.
Yeah. Yeah, it was. That's definitely a time.
Yeah.
And like when it was really fat like that,
Yeah.
cut down.
Well,
nose
they
and
got a
tails.
little too fat by accident.
Of course.
When they showed up, we're like, we wanted them fat, but not like they covered our boots.
I
fat.
remember.
I was like, okay.
Remember people walking and their boots
Yeah.
are like, they just have like elephant legs.
Yeah.
I want that again.
That was epic.
That was super epic, man. Well, welcome back to, being a part of a director at a company. I'm super psyched for that. I think you and I talked about it when Chad first started doing the reissues with his Musca boards on like a short. So. And I was like, well, you should be doing this. You should be doing, small runs where every single person that gets a board has like a connection to you directly, because that seems to be sick.
I think that there's obviously a skateboard is like $100 item where there's
those ones aren't $100. I think he's charging $250 or something.
Well, yeah, but I guess it's like, I don't know what a snowboard, but there's definitely gonna be some of that like nostalgia stuff with some signed boards. Yeah. Like some remakes like that. But like a limited number, I think is.
Well, I think that's the thing about Musca's thing too, was that it was limited. It was like, it's not just, a company that's put together for the numbers. Like you look and you go, okay, we could get to 500 this year, 800 next year, 1,200 down the road.
Yeah.
It's like, there's a demand for something that is nostalgic and connected to you. Plus, like you say, like if you just look at it, like what would Tony have done had he kept going with it?
Yeah, right.
That'd be fun. It's creative. Like you said, it never fell off. So it's maybe you can look at it like, what would Jamie Salter have done if he had you could make $99 boards.
I think the cool thing about Jamie Salter, at least he's been in snowboarding forever. Like
it's close to his heart.
Yeah, like would actually be rad to see. Like, I don't know, like that. I wonder if that guy would be into giving back. Like, I was talking to Mouse, I'm like, shouldn't a Jamie Salter be the one who's like funding this, like his history? He got all his riches off of it. Yeah, like that would be a perfect person. Him and Chip Wilson. Yeah, it's like, let's get the history of snowboarding going, like
totally,
and like skateboarding and surfing, like
there's
like Jamie Salter would be the guy I'd see, like
extracting the money from mainstream Walmart sales and putting it into a specialty
do something
museum
good with it, though,
or something where it's like history of
give it back a little bit.
Sports.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, I think that would be cool. I often dreamed about like hitting him up and saying that. Like, look, they would just do the Jamie Salter Action Sports Museum in Minnesota, somewhere where you can get a huge space for cheap, and people go there for a destination. You know what I mean? It makes sense because he's got money. But then, I don't know if you know, many people with lots of money, they don't really spend it frivolously, do they?
Oh no, I know.
They usually.
Is that frivolous though? To like.
I guess if it's an endowment, like what you would do at your.
It's almost like a museum, right? Like, it'd be like the Jamie Salter Museum of Action Sports.
Yeah, I wanted to pitch it to him and say there needs to be a slush fund there to pay out some of the people. Like when Kevin got off Atlantis, because Jamie bought it, his contract just ended and he just got screwed out of a bunch of money.
Yeah.
It's like you got to pay off some of these people. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like Megan Porcheron, you need to make sure that her Lamar contract go back. Just like pay off those little things so that people don't have that terrible feeling of when you've destroyed their life.
Yeah, when you tore them down.
When you tore their company out from under them and sold it into Sport Mart or...
was I reading or watching? No, he's watching. Like his concept is interesting.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, what he does?
Yeah. So I'm like, wow.
It's super simple. It's like you find something that's got a brand recognition, especially something like, say, Forum, where they've pumped all this money into advertising. They've bought full-page, 2-page spreads in every magazine.
Yeah.
What he would do is he would see a company floundering, according to Travis Wood, floundering company that has like value in it, and he would just go to his Forzani group and say, how many silence boards would you buy if you could get them right now? Here's their catalog, actual catalog of silence boards.
Yeah.
They'd be like, well, if they're $300 each, we'll take 5,000 boards. And so he's got an order basically for 5,000 boards at $300 each. And he can go to the company and be like, okay, I'll buy your company for $100,000 cash right now.
It worked.
I mean, look, he did it with Sports Illustrated and Volcom.
He's done it with so many. It's insane.
Reebok.
Yeah.
He owns Reebok outright, I think. It's not just a licensing thing.
Okay.
But they're mostly licensing. Yeah. The license is the thing.
It's crafty, man.
Well, good luck with Shorties. I know it's going to be fun, man.
Yeah, thank you. I'm pumped.
Thanks for taking the time to sit down with me and do another one of these.
Yeah.
It's always rad to have you on the show. It's way more rad to just see you out on Seymour shredding. That's my favorite. Like, you're pretty still ahead of the game for... You just have a natural talent for it.
Yeah, I guess. It's like, the other thing is like, snowboarding always... Or it came around, like... And actually started to get, like... grow right when I was starting to snowboard.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like the boards got better right then. So it's like we're kind of at that age where we're right at the forefront. So it's like, why can't people who are 60 like Evan Feen be dropping cliffs? It's like skiers can keep going for a while. It's harder on your knees, but
yeah, when we were 20,
like, look at skateboarders. Dude,
yeah, oh my
skateboarders
God.
Are still going.
It's unbelievable. It's so sick. Well, I think the first one for me was Kelly Slater in surfing, where it was like he turned 30, he was supposed to retire. Then he turned 40, he was better than he was when he was 30.
Yeah.
And now he's like in his 50s and he still shreds.
Like I could still snowboard pretty good, I think. Like I went up last year and I was like,
yeah.
For not riding, only riding 3 days, I'm like, I kind of.
And you're riding with Marty Vachon, who's one of the, like undoubtedly one of the greatest Canadian snowboarders right now, right? And you guys could go around and have a day and
totally
and I mean, he's
shred. Not on
rails.
He's like,
that dude's insane.
He's more of a rail dude, but
right, but he's got great
my...
style too.
Yeah.
That's the thing. He's got that really good style.
Yeah, really good.
Yeah, so
I like that kid.
Yeah, I think the thing is
work ethic.
The action sports grew up. And there is a spot there. You know, Jamie Lynn still got a pro model, right? Matt Cummings still has a pro model. That's the best one. Yeah. But it's just sometimes the luck of the draw. What the roll of the dice, sponsorship, who you are with, and then if your career kind of gets to the end while they're doing a transition, then you don't get the fanfare. You don't get the cool shit. Like Gooch is still on Volcom killing it, you know what I mean?
Which is crazy.
right? So it's like relevant.
Yeah.
I'll buy his vest. Dude's sick. So yeah, this is one of those roll of the dice things where Shorties and you just, took a bit of a break.
Yeah.
25-year break.
It's like finding my first love.
All right. Thanks, Dev.
Okay, thank you, sir.
It was killer.
Okay.
FNRad shout-outs to Devin and his family for having me in their home for this interview. Special thanks this week to the Patreon listeners. I've started sending out some shirts and sweatshirts for the first full year supporters. Talking about Roy Arn Borseth, whose hoodie's in the mail, Hayden Pocock, Chris Green, Anthony Dorison, Jamie Shaw, Heinrich Donnerberg, Kyle Arvey, and my favorite bald-faced buddy, Carl Montoya, who's heading back to Baldface this week, I think. You guys have helped create real freedom in my life. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. And you, dear listener, who've made it to the end of the show, please join the FNRad Patreon and support future episodes. Be sure to come back next week for more FNRad snowboarding presented by Flojoy Artesian Mountain Water from Donner Summit and brought to you by FNRad Productions.